Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
If you keep up on what's coming out on Netflix and Hulu, you might have seen last week Tick, Tick, Boom. If you're not familiar with it, it is the story of Jonathan Larson, the composer who wrote Rent and who actually died the night before Rent was open. I decided to speak about it at the opening before I knew Stephen Sondheim was going to pass away today of blessed memory, and he's featured in the story of Jonathan Larson. But there's a moment in this movie, Tick, Tick, Boom, that I can't shake. And it's a moment where someone gets mad at Jonathan Larson, and yet I do the same thing all the time. So he had a girlfriend, and they're ups and downs because she was a dancer, and he was a composer, and they were both busy and living in New York City in the early 90s, and it was stressful. And there's a moment where they've broken up, and she comes back, and he hugs her, and they have this beautiful scene of reunification, and he's hugging her, and then what does he do? He starts tapping out a rhythm on her back, and she pushes him away, and she yells at him. She goes, "You're going to turn this moment into a song," and is mad at him for that, because not fully in the moment, he's going to turn the moment into a song. I felt so guilty, because I turn so many moments into sermons and Devar Torahs. Whenever I'm with family or friends or watching the news or just about in the world at large, I'm always thinking about how can this be for this moment, the opening, or the Devar Torah, the Torah reading. But I'm thankful for that. It makes life beautiful because what I do for work and what I do in the world at large intersect. And I'm so thankful for that. But I'm even more thankful for the people who let me talk about them. Well, my family I don't ask their permission to talk about them. So I'm just thankful that they don't get mad at me or they don't come to services so much that they don't see that I talk about them. But I'm thankful for my friend Michelle, who is battling breast cancer, and during COVID, let me talk about her battle with breast cancer when we had breast cancer awareness. I'm thankful for Rachel, who is one of our congregants and a nurse, and made major decisions about COVID for the county, and let me speak to her the day she got the vaccine, because she was one of the first 250 people to get the vaccine in this area. And she let me talk to her that day and ask her, what was going through your mind when you got one of the first vaccines? And she said, going to Disney World. And I'm thankful for another kid at Temple, Stephanie, who let me call her literally in the car leaving Camp Coleman to ask her what it was like to be back at camp after camp was closed last year. And I'm thankful for John Glenn's family, who let me preach about him at Yom Kippur and let me see his private papers with beautiful notes on the side. And so, unlike Jonathan Larson's girlfriend in Tick, Tick, Boom, I live that way, where the intersection of what is going on and what I'm going to say and what I do are all together. And I'm so thankful that that can happen. But I don't think I'm the only one that does this. There's a line in Lamentations that we hear a lot at the high holidays, and it says, Chadesh Yamenu Kekadem, means renew our days as days of old. And what it says is that everything that happens in our lives is relevant to what happened from the beginning of Judaism. And everything that happened at the beginning of Judaism is relevant to our lives. That we live in this idea of a time machine in Judaism before even the idea of time machines existed, that what happens in the past and what happens in our lives right at this moment are connected. And if we are really aware and conscious of the people that are around us and are thankful for them, then all of a sudden those moments that we have with the people that we love the most and are so thankful for us will enhance our Jewish lives and our lives in the world at large and our work lives and our just going about our business. And so that is the power of being thankful for people. And so on this Shabbat, when we are marking this Thanksgiving weekend, that's what I'm thankful for the community that we have here at Temple Bethel, the community that we have here in South Florida, and for the world at large. And I hope you have just as much to be thankful for, if not more. Shabbat Shalom. We invite you at this time to share greetings of Shabbat Shalom with those around you. At this time, we'll begin in Mishkan Tefillah, our prayer book, on pages 2 and 3, with candle lighting for Shabbat. We invite forward our bar mitzvah and his parents, Joel, Lottie, and Eric Nielsen, to light the candles this evening.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all of those who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner leshabbat.
Mazel tov. And to lead us in Kiddush this evening for Shabbat, we continue on pages 4 and 5, and we invite forward our B'nai Mitzvah and their parents, Aiden, Brandon, Crystal, and Brett Sherman.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinichil lanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher leitziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon Hinhiltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Mazel tov. Like a suffering artist, some of the most beautiful things in Judaism come out of the most difficult times. And the Chadodi, which we'll sing in a moment to welcome the Sabbath bride, is no exception. Instead of bemoaning the fact that Jerusalem is a garbage dump and the Jewish people are scattered around the world and have been expelled from Spain and are just in a sad, sad state, instead, the composer of the Chadodi, Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz, decided to instead rejoice with what he could rejoice in, which was the greeting of Shabbat each Friday. Didn't matter what the world looked like so much, as long as he was thankful for the ability to welcome the Sabbath bride each Friday night. We, in that same spirit and in different times, welcome the Sabbath bride as well. We continue on page 20 with the Chadodi. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and we'll turn to the door when we do the last verse. Please rise as we continue together.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בריבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מכרם משוכה, סוף מעשה ומשאבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, 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 כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Face the door and welcome the Sabbath bride.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue on page 28.
Am I awake? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yada die, yada die, 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 yada die, die, die.
We continue together in Hebrew on page 30. Please be seated. Together, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et zemanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmoratehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chaleinu leolam vaed, Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim. Israel, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochleinu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevon Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
We continue on page 36 with the Via Hafta. Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לעולכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Recently, I heard someone asked if they felt their cup was half empty or half full, and they said, I'm just happy to have water. And that's the way some people look at life. They're just appreciative to have anything. The moment that we sing about the Mi Chamocha is a moment where some of the children of Israel totally appreciated and others did not care at all. If you think about what it would be like to walk across a sea that is parted, the ground beneath your feet most likely would be very, very muddy. And it is said that some of the children of Israel who walked across the Red Sea when it was parting did not look up at the miracle of the sea parting and God leading them from slavery to freedom, but instead looked down and only saw mud. And that is our decision in life. Are we going to curse the mud or be thankful for the sea parting? The Mi Chamocha lets us sit in that moment and decide. And I think life can be more beautiful if we are thankful for the sea parting than cursing the mud. We continue on page 40 with Mi Chamocha.
Let's sing Yada Die together. Here we go. Yada Die 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 Die. Yada Die 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 Die. Yada Die 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 Die. Yada Die 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 Die. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha neda b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha neda b'kodesh. Torah tehilot osef peleh. Torah tehilot osef peleh. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ידה דה, one more time. ידה דה 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 דה. ידה דה 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 דה. ידה דה 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 דה. ידה דה 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 דה. ונאמר גפת אדוני את יעקב, גלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Adonai, Hapore Sukkot Shalom, Ve'aleinu ve'al kol amo, Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
Page 45, we read together. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with Vashamru on page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
To turn to page 46 and we rise for the Amidah. We plant our feet firmly in the ground. We straighten our backs and send our souls up towards the heavens.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל, אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. And let us turn together to page 58. These words are part of the Amidah, the prayer for Hoda'ah, the prayer for thanksgiving. I invite you all to read with me in English. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Amen. Amen. We'll take a moment now for silent prayer and meditation.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lecho השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
In a moment, as the Torah service begins, Rabbi Mates and I are going to process through the congregation in our Hakafah. We ask everyone to please be respectful of each other and everyone's COVID comforts as we make our way. If you're near enough to be able to touch the Torah safely, we certainly invite you to do so, but we also invite you that if you are not so close, not to climb over the people next to you, but to give a respectful bow to the Sefer Torah as it goes by, so that no one is made to feel uncomfortable. Please rise.
כי מציון יצא תורה, דבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון יצא תורה, דבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו, תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו גדול אדוננו קדוש שמו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח והחוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני והמלאכה והמין נעשה לכל לראש. הילך עמדה ליבי, הוזנה ואל נא תתעלם. הילך עמדה, עמדה ליבי, הוזנה ואל נא תתעלם. הילך עמדה, עמדה ליבי, הוזנה ואל נא תתעלם. הילך עמדה ליבי, הוסנה ואל נא תתעלם.
Please be seated. When I was in, I think it was high school, I had an English teacher who once asked our class if anyone knew the difference between a short story and a novel. The obvious answer is the length. But that wasn't what our teacher was getting at. What he wanted us to learn, and if there are English professors in the room and this is wrong, please come correct me after services tonight, is that in a short story, there is no character development. Each character is her or himself throughout the story, and what makes the story interesting is the tension and the conflict that exists between the characters. But in a novel, the characters develop. They learn from their experiences. Some of them improve, some of them get worse. We've all read Greek tragedies. But the idea is there is a dynamism in the character in those stories. What's interesting about Torah is it's an amalgam of the two. There are some characters in Torah who really don't develop very much. Pharaoh in the book of Exodus is in the story for half of the book, and he doesn't change very much. But Joseph, the character to whom we are introduced this week, changes significantly through his story. We're going to read tonight from the beginning of Parshat Vayeshev, the beginning of Joseph's story. And he is, well, a snot. Let's just say it. He thinks he's better than his brothers. His father has convinced him of that fact. And not only does he think he's better than his brothers, he looks for every opportunity to rub it in their eyes that he, in fact, is. But as we follow the story of Joseph over the next several weeks, we will learn that Joseph learns. We will learn that Joseph learns a few things about himself. On the one hand, he's not entirely wrong. We learn that Joseph has been given some God-given talents of dream interpretation and the ability to effect change for the good as a direct result of that. When we get to the end of the story in a few weeks, and Joseph confronts his brothers in Pharaoh's palace, what he tells them is, don't be mad at yourselves. Don't beat yourselves up for what happens to me. I was put in this place by the Holy One, not so that you could make fun of me when I was a little boy, and not so we could have fights when we were younger, but no. I was put in this place so that I could save the lives of all the Egyptians and everyone else around during this terrible famine. That this was exactly what God intended to happen, which is why I was put here. What Joseph learns through his story is not that he doesn't have these great abilities, he certainly does. But he learns to be appreciative of the fact that even though he has his abilities, they are not because of him. They are because of the Holy One who instilled them in Joseph. What Joseph learns through his story is a little bit of magnanimity, a little bit of self-awareness, and also this really important thing that we celebrate this week, this idea of gratitude and thanksgiving. When you have been blessed and you are not thankful and you are not grateful, you walk around reaping the benefits of your blessing and holding it over everyone else around you that you have received it. If you're a baseball fan, the metaphor that is often said is, you're the person who was born on third base and says how wonderful of a triple hitter you are. But that simply isn't the case. For people who have been blessed, what they ought to do with their blessings is a few things. First and foremost, recognize that being blessed means that you didn't do it yourself. That you were given things, perhaps by your family, perhaps by the circumstances of your birth, perhaps instilled with God-given abilities like Joseph was. Second, you should share those abilities and those blessings for the benefit of those around you as much as you possibly can. Yes, take for yourself what you need, of course, but be giving and generous with your blessing as well. And third, and most importantly, by recognizing that the blessings you have been given are not only of your own making, but they are something that you have received, to offer and show your gratitude. It took Joseph being cast into a pit, sold into slavery, given over to the wife of a rich man, sent to prison to Pharaoh, seen his cellmate executed, brought before Pharaoh of Egypt, put into the place as being the grand vizier, and ultimately saving the lives of countless Egyptians and others who were sojourning there. For his journey, his story, to go to a place that he could offer his gratitude and his thanksgiving for his blessings and share them with the world. Thank God for us. The story of Joseph is not a short story, but a novel, at least a novella. And if you were lucky enough to be living in the 90s, also an operetta, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which I got to see in 1990-something at the Chicago Theater, starring none other than Donny Osmond. He was really good. He was very good. So as we celebrate Thanksgiving this weekend, I want to just say to everyone who is here in person and those of you who are joining us virtually as well, how grateful it is year after year, week after week, to be a part of this community. Thank you to everyone who braved the really cold weather we had here in Boca Raton this week. It was in the 60s. We had to turn off the air conditioning. We didn't turn on the heat, but we turned off the air conditioning. And as a word of gratitude, thank you to everyone, and a happy Thanksgiving and a Shabbat Shalom. As an expression of our community's gratitude, it is my pleasure to invite up Evelyn Boconfuso Swid, who will bless us this evening with the Aliyat Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bakar banu mikol ha'amim v'tanan lanato et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan. And so Jacob was dwelling in the land of his father's sojourning, in the land of Canaan. Ela toldot Yaakov, Yosef ben Shiva Asrei Shana. So these are the generations of Jacob, and his son Joseph was 17 years. Haya ro'eh et achav batzon. And he and his brothers were shepherds, and he was kind of like the helper. Not good for much. Hu na'ar et b'nei Bilha et b'nei Zilpa nashe aviv. He was the attendant with the sons of Bilha and the sons of Zilpa, who were two of his father's wives. V'yavo Yosef et dibaram ra'ah el avihem. And Joseph was really good at bringing the bad words, bringing word of the bad deeds that had been done to their father. V'Yisrael ahav et Yosef mikol banav, ki ben zukanim hulo, v'asalo ketonat pasim. And so Israel, meaning Jacob, loved Joseph more than the most of all of his sons, because he was the son of his old age. He was born when Jacob was older. And he made for him ketonat pasim, in the words of Andrew Lloyd Webber, an amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. V'yaru achav ki oto ahav avihem, mikol achav, v'yisneu oto. And the brothers saw that he, meaning Jacob, he was loved by their father more than them, more than the brothers. And so they hated him. V'lo yechlu dibru l'shalom. And they could not speak to him in peace. They could not find a peaceful word to share with him. And now we're going to find out why. V'yachalem Yosef chalom v'yagid le'achav. And Joseph had a dream, and he told his brothers, V'yisfu od Sno Oto. And that just made them hate him even more. Vayomer Alehem, and so he said to him, Simuna hachalom hazeh asher chalamti. Listen to this great dream that I had. V'hine anachnu melim alumim betoch hasadeh. We were all out and we were tying up sheaves of our wheat. V'hine kama alumati, and my sheaf stood up very tall. V'gam natzava, it was up and it was tall and it was standing at attention. V'hine tisuvina alumatechem, and your sheaves were circling around it. V'tishtachavena lemunati, and they all bowed down to my sheaf. Vayamru lo achav, and the brothers said to him, Hamloch tim loch aleinu, v'mishul tishmal beno, v'yasifu od seno oto, al chalumatav ve'al debarav. And so his brothers said to him, should you be meaning that you are supposed to reign over us? That you are going to rule over us? And they hated him even more because of his dreams and because of his words. We know how it goes, the rest of it. It doesn't go well.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat amet v'chaye olam nata betokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Evelyn, you can look over me.
Oh.
Evelyn, you have given so much to this community. The time that you have spent as a volunteer through, not just through our temple sisterhood, although you're deeply involved in our sisterhood, but in so many different elements of synagogue life, you give so much of your time. But in addition to that, you give so much of your spirit, of your ruach, at Shabbat services, at the gift shop, making phone calls to people. I have so many memories over these past 2 years and the variety of the virtual programming that you were doing, that it didn't matter where you were or what you were doing. You were at your desk at work with like a phone in one ear and our phone in the other ear, just so you could be present and part of our community and bring your sense of self to it. And so to you we say, Mishaberach Avotenu Vimotenu, may the God who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you on this evening as you have come forward as Aliyah to Torah. May you leave the bima this evening with chazak v'amatz, with strength and with courage. We are so grateful for all that you give to us. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving and a Mazal Tov. Thank you. Thank you. We know you do. Thank you. Would everyone please rise?
Izota Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai.
May the God who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring the gift of refuah shlema, of healing of mind, of body, and spirit, to those in our families and our community who are suffering from illness or injury. Tonight we think of and pray for the healing of Jim Alexander, Benita Appel, Fred Belkin, Brenda Bello, Ricky Berger, Jackie Burrs, Mike Blackman, Margie Berman Block, Kathleen Bowersox, Monica Lowenthal Butchnick, Dorothy Buxbaum, Leona Channon, Mariela Contreras, Gail Cohen, Andrew Cohen, Karina Doktoroff, Cheryl Elbrand, Arnold Erne, Larry Feidelman, Sheila Feldman, Rhonda Finlay, Marty Fromowitz, Larry Guys, Clarice Goldstein, Jake Goldstein, Rona Guberman, Marsha Hoffman, Keith Homer, Tracy Jackson, Mitch Kaplan, Bill Lazarus, Eleanor Lerner, Karen Levine, Rita Luckitz, Melissa Madani, Marba Mallet, E.J. Manton, Moisha Ben Devora, Michael Penn, Jackie Robinson, Eileen Rosenbaum, Alan Rosenfeld, Matt Sokolov, Shani Batsara, John Sirianos, Len Sirowitz, Mickey Sirowitz, Mark Sosin, Rabbi David Spitz, Michael Sprinzen, Tim Waldron, Eileen Yashba, and Barbara Jonensen. If there are others for whom you're praying for healing this evening, please share their name with us as you go around the congregation, or call them to mind if you are joining us virtually this evening. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim, we praise you, Adonai, who helps bring healing to the sick.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Remain standing and turn to page 282 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
It's now my pleasure to introduce our temple's president, Wendy Whalen, to offer greetings and announcements on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's wonderful to be here with all of you tonight, and especially all of those who were joining us and leading us in blessings. First, to Joel, Lottie, and Eric Nielsen, Mazel Tov. Lottie, you have been an amazing part of our congregation and are one of our leaders now as Vice President of Social Action. And then, of course, we have Aiden and Brandon Sherman, along with Crystal and Brett. And I've had the pleasure of working with Crystal also on some religious school projects. And then we have Evelyn, who Rabbi Weissman has already praised her many, many volunteer hours and works. So we are just surrounded by such a wonderful group of active temple members in our Bethel family. And next Friday, December 3rd at 6 o'clock, we will be celebrating Hanukkah at Shabbat services and retelling this Hanukkah story to the music of Queen. This in-person service is open to temple members and their guests, followed by an optional dinner and a fun outdoor Hanukkah party at the Schaefer Family Campus. For everyone else, the services will be available on live stream, Facebook, and YouTube, and I promise you, you do not want to miss it. It is going to be so much fun. All this information can be found on our website at tbeboca.org, Hanukkah 2021. And then Temple Bethel invites the whole community to a Hanukkah candle lighting at Uptown Boca on Glades Road, east of 441, on Tuesday, November 30th. You can enjoy Hanukkah goodie bags, delicious jelly donuts, live klezmer music performed by our very own cantorial soloist, Jake Harris, and violinist Michael Klotz to get us all in the Hanukkah spirit. And then for those who are interested in the deeper meaning of Hanukkah, please join Rabbi Dan, who will be teaching a class, The Mystical Meaning in the Festival of Lights, on Thursday, December 2nd, on Virtual Bethel. Lunch and Learn is on Virtual Bethel through the end of the year, providing wonderful opportunities to connect with some amazing scholars, and that's every Tuesday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. You can get the details and the Zoom link also from tbeboca.org, Adult Education. And a reminder again, if you have not done so yet, to please pick a wish from the giving tree in the lobby or on our website and support the Holiday Project, which provides over 2,000 individuals in need with so much needed holiday spirit. If you have any questions, you can email the givingtreeboca@gmail.com. The oneg this evening, I think the weather has held up, so we will be in the courtyard. And as you make your way towards the Welcome Center, we do ask that you consider stopping by our tzedakah box. I think especially with Lottie being here tonight, I want to make a real push for that because our Social Action Committee disperses those funds to local nonprofits to support their very important work. So, Shabbat Shalom, happy Thanksgiving, and happy Hanukkah.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have come and gone, those whose lives brought us joy and celebration, and whose memories live on through us as a blessing. If you are here in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, we invite you to rise as you hear the name of your loved one recalled, and if you are joining us at home, we invite you to do the same. Tonight at the yard site, the anniversary of their passing, we remember Ira Abramowitz, Ida Ajinsky, Pearl Alt, Malka Altman, Joseph Altner, Joanna Altner, Stephen F. Beiner, Irv Benedon, Albert Biener, Stuart Block, Edward Bobick, Janice Brand, Louis Buxbaum, Bertram Burton, Joseph Cohen, Abraham Cohen, Jane Myers Copestake, Sigmund Dubrow, Arthur Eckhoff, Beverly Ellenson, Harry Elson, Sandra Evans, Dr. Alexander Sand Fisher, Julia Fluke, Robert Frank, Benjamin Geeter, Donald Glackman, Ruth Glick, Samuel Goldberg, Dan Golden, David Leon Goldfield, Nathan Goldstein, Miriam Goodman, Elsie Greenfield, Elizabeth Gutenberg, Gail Hepner, Jerry Herman, Stuart Hershey, Michael Jacobson, Carol Jacobson, Joseph Keene, Herman W. Klossner, Dr. Louis Lebo, Howard Leishman, Charles Levine, Joseph Levine, Lucille Levitt, Risha Levy, Herbert Lieberman, Herman Leifman, Beverly Lindman, Rita Litvin, Erwin Lowenstein, Avi Lopatin, Charles Lubetkin, Mina Martyr, Nathan Marco, E. Nilton Siqueira Mendes, Haya Meyerowitz, Zelda Mitnick, Muriel Nathan, Morris Perel, Selma Perper, Louis Michael Pincus, Estelle E. Potkin, Mina Putter, Winifred Richardson, David B. Roth, Dr. Robert Rubin, Gussie Rubenstein, Fanny Rubenstein, Arnold Savrin, Alfred Schiff, Charles Siegel, Bert Sickles, Daniel Siegel, Gloria Smith, Shirley Spiegel, Melvin Stein, Francis Stein, Jeanette Stoller, Annette Stone, Henry Streisfeld, Rose Strent, Rachel Broomberg-Tamchin, Ruth Tauber, William Warren, and David Wilkin. And those who passed in the last 30 days, we recall Barbara Son Marcello, Felicita Rigual, Robert Tishio, Sonny Judson, Florence Koish, Erica Gersten, Myron Mickey Granick, Rosaline Wiener, May Kaplan, Morton Sinofsky, Harold Redolinsky, Robert Bloom, and Arnold Stein. If there are others for whom you are saying Kaddish this evening, please rise and share their name as we go around the congregation. Zichronam livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. We rise now as a community. Turn to page 294 as together we say the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'it hadar, v'it ale, v'it halal, shemei dekudsha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, V'imru, amen. May the one who sends peace from the high heavens send peace to all of us and comfort those who are bereaved, as together we say, amen.
All right, for our closing song, a song for peace, because peace goes right in hand with gratitude. A special thanks to our musicians, Meme on the violin, Vindia on the keys, Jeff on the drums. An absolute wonderful combo. We have Raymond and Ron and Kira who are making this all possible on Virtual Bethel and getting the sound in the room and the visuals looking nice. So thank you so much, and let's all sing some Oseh Shalom together. Oseh Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Happy Thanksgiving, happy Hanukkah, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.